Hi everyone, Alex Bailey here from Revolution Yacht Experience, and welcome back to another Axopar how-to video. In today's video, we're going to go aboard this 29 Axopar here, and I'm going to show you the vessel's DC electrical system. So hopefully this video will be very helpful, so come on board and I'll show you everything you need to know. The first thing I want to talk about is the different location of these switches here on the 29. So on the 29XC down here, we have our port, service, bow thruster, and start battery switches. 1, 2, 3, 4 to turn all those on. Okay, the dash is very similar, so there's probably not a lot to talk about there, but there is going to be some differences in the battery charging, where the batteries are located, etc. This is the aft cabin model, and this is where the batteries are located. So if you can lift yourselves up a little bit with the camera and we can look back down here, we can see that we have 4 batteries back here. 2 of them are going to be for the house bank, so those 2 are going to be linked together, and then 2 of them are going to be for the port and starboard start banks. So in this particular case, it looks like we have this one here will be the starboard start battery, and these center ones, these guys here are going to be the house batteries, and then the one on the outside here is going to be the port engine start battery. So just moving down along here, we have this very big ground bus, and then we have these large switches here. So when I switched on those rocker switches at the forward section of the vessel up near the helm there, what was actually happening is these things here would be spinning and opening and closing the circuit to connect the batteries to the boat, right? And there's a few other devices here. So these things here, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds, but this thing here is essentially to do with splitting the charging currents. Same with this guy down here. So when the engines are running, they will have alternator output current and voltage being produced, and that is like this is kind of how the system splits it up. So each engine, and you can see them through the windows back here, they have what's called an alternator on board. That alternator spins as the engine spins, and it creates an output current and voltage, and that is what charges your batteries, right? That's how they work. But when you have a system where you have multiple battery banks and you want those battery banks to all be charged by a single source, i.e. an engine, but you don't want the battery banks to actually interact with each other, that is the power to stay separate, then what you're going to need is one of these devices. It's called an isolator. So what will happen is this engine's output power from the alternator, its charging output when the engine runs, that'll come into this device, and then this device will output it and split it 3 ways. So it'll go back into these batteries or split them up. And then this one over here is actually the same except for that engine. So that engine will produce an output current, and it will stick it into all the batteries. It will split it up. But the batteries can't go back the other way. It's like a one-way valve. Comes in, splits, and that's how it works. Okay, so just in case you guys were wondering what those things do, that's what they do. If you come in a little further, if we look along this forward edge of this electrical space, you'll see that there's quite a few fuses lined up here. They're not actually labeled per se, they just have these codes. So these codes will relate to things that you might see in the electrical diagram in the owner's manual. But if you have some major pieces of equipment that aren't functioning or working properly, coming to check all these large A and L fuses lined up along here would be a really good place to start. Okay, so if we move along here, and we can see that we're looking at a charger, sorry, should I say. So this charger is a 3-bank charger, so it will do these 3 banks. So that is house bank, port start, and starboard start. Unlike the 37 Axopar and the 28 Axopar, the 29XC Axopar has this charger that actually charges all 3 banks at once. So anything that we've spoken about in the past about the sequential charging, that is house bank getting a charge, and then port start, and then starboard start, and then back to house, and then all 3 together, that sequential setup, that doesn't work like that anymore. This one charges all 3 banks all at once. So when you turn your shore power on, you should see all 3 banks voltages come up together for these 3 banks here. There is another battery up forward, and we will show you that pretty soon. A couple of extra things to show you. So up forward here in the bow, we have the bow thruster and bow thruster battery, its switch, and the associated fuses. So let's just dive right into that and take a quick peek. All right, so here is the switch here. So when you turn that battery switch on, the one that says bow heavy aux, this thing here will spin, and then it will connect this battery to the system, which then runs that piece of equipment there, which is your bow thruster. And also your windlass as well will run off of here too. And then it has its own dedicated battery charger, which is really nice to see. We have never seen a dedicated bow thruster battery charger on an Axopar before until the 29. So really nice to see that. That's a really nice addition, Axopar. Thank you for putting that in there. Okay, so as far as DC equipment is concerned, there is an overboard discharge pump in here as well. And also the water pump on the 29 is actually located right under here as well. So there's some of the changes to know about on the 29. This is where the fuse panel is located. So pretty similar on a 28 if you think about it that way, because if I was on a 28, I'll be sitting right on the head right now, and that is exactly where the head is on this boat. It's right beneath me. So if we're talking about DC stuff, then here we go. Here is all of the labeled DC pop-out breakers. And then we do actually have 3 that we can control here. So we can turn the fridge on and off. We can turn this other fridge on and off. Forward pump, which will be that water pump I was talking about. And then we can also do overboard discharge macerator. So much like all the other videos that we've done about how to pump out your holding tank, we're going to want to make sure that valve is open before we hit the macerator, and we're in an area that's safe to pump out and that's acceptable to do so. And then when you're done, close that valve again. Okay, so this is where this stuff is on the 29. All right, so that wraps up today's video. Hopefully you found that helpful, and as always, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and please leave us a comment down below. We'd love to hear your feedback, questions, ideas for new videos, anything you like. Until the next video, this is Alex Bailey with Revolution, signing off.